main types of people. I find this really helpful. One, yay, here we go. Um, Let me see now. Can you and go down the bottom and add yourself? There you go. Awesome. Fantastic. So there's the people who will see when shown, and there's the people who will never see. So we're looking for the top two. So please share this. Hello, my darling. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm very up close and personal. I think just move me back a tad, even a tad
You're
more.
you're looking fantastic. How are you?
My blood pressure's up has doubled in the last 10 minutes. Trying to get on here. I
Uh-huh.
tell you, me and technology don't bode well. But anyway, here I am now. I hope it
So
wasn't me. I hope it was the gremlins.
yes, it totally was. Well, listen, thank you so much for taking the time out to chat. I was just saying, I just had the idea a couple of weeks ago for these kind of informal chats, just you and I discussing life. And I think it's a really nice way for people to benefit from the experience without feeling they're getting bombarded with more, you should do this and you need to do that. It's just a nice, gentle way. So let's talk about your new book, which I've not read yet, but which I will be doing. It's The Beauty of Broken, which I just absolutely love because I think, the honesty of that we all face these challenges that take us to places that we've never gone before, and that's just the reality of life. But what do you do after that? And I suppose it's about resilience, isn't it? And using your own life experience and of course the incredible support that I know that I've had around me and I know that you've had around you, that help you, because it's a journey that should never be walked alone. Much as it is a lonely journey sometimes, the people around us can really help. Can we just start with The Beauty of Broken, how it was born?
Oh, it was a 4-year labour.
Right.
There were many midwives, and it wasn't a plan, as most of the big things in my life, have not been planned, have happened at me. And so I wrote a book around 2016 called Love Never Dies, and I didn't write a book. I journaled about my experiences
Yes.
while my father was going through his 6-month prognosis with pancreatic cancer, and subsequently died 6 months later. And I kept writing, journaling about my experiences of grief, of loss, of bereavement, and the journey back from the dark night. And I shared a couple of wee posts from wee bits that I'd written that I thought, oh, that's quite interesting. And people responded to it and
I
started
remember
to
it.
say,
Yeah.
can I share that? Can my friend join your Facebook page? And I was kind of like, why? But anyway, I said, okay, yeah, fine, great. And eventually, I had a lot of posts. So a very good friend, Monica Smith, who's a writer, said to me, you need to collate all those posts. You might want to turn that into a book one day. And I laughed. And she said, no, I'm serious. And I laughed again and got on with my life. And then one day she said, I've collated all your posts for you. I'm posting them to you. Have a look at it. So it arrived and I put it in a drawer and opened for 3 months because it was still too raw. It was still too raw for me to actually read what I'd written myself. And anyway, one day, 3 months later, for no apparent reason, I took it out and I read it and I thought, okay. And some people had said, do you have it all collated? Is it in a book format? Is it in a notebook? Can I buy a copy? And a good friend suggested that he knew someone who would edit it for me if I wanted. And we had a chat. And fortuitously, he was in the middle of writing a book, an autobiography of a close friend who died, and couldn't do it. It was too close for him. So he was happy to take on my book because he was once removed from that, and that got him into the wheels oiled and greased. So he was able to then go on and write his book about Colin. And that I thought was the end of it. So my book is ready to come out. It's ready to physically be born. And that year, you know, just a couple of months earlier, I got a cancer diagnosis of breast cancer, and I had to go in and have a mastectomy. And the day I came out of hospital,
can I just ask you how long that was after your father's death?
So my father died in end of 2016, and I'm diagnosed with cancer in 2019. So I carried on writing for 2 years about the journey back from bereavement and loss. Now, as a psychotherapist, you know, I've worked with, I have 35 years experience as a psychotherapist, 30 years teaching and lecturing on therapy. But losing, you know, losing a parent is a different ball game. I'm not saying that all grief isn't important, and God forbid, I don't know what losing a child would be like. But losing a parent, nothing had prepared me for that. All the therapy, all the trainings, all the books and theories, and nothing had prepared me for the loss and the challenge of a conscious death, because we knew he was going to die, he knew he was going to die, and we knew we were on borrowed time. And it was how to make the best of that time and still do the work of grieving at the same time. So fast forward to the beginning of 2019, I get diagnosed in the March, and my surgery is in the April. As I come out of hospital wearing my bandage, my boob tube, the books are on the kitchen table. The first book. While I was in hospital waiting for the mastectomy, Mickey, my editor, called me up and said, start writing now. Now, I always journal. And he said, no, I'm serious, start writing now. And I said, away you go, don't be so stupid. You know, I'll probably be dead before the thing's finished. But if I'm not, you know, who the hell wants to read this stuff? And he said, just do it. Okay, just trust me, just do it. So I was journaling anyway, but had no intention. And that evolved, the journey evolved. I was very aware of trying to think about not just what I was going through, but what might be useful or helpful for other people to know about, whether they've gone through it, they will go through it, they know someone who's going through it, or they want to be more informed about the system. But then it morphed into something bigger than that, and that was the idea of, it wasn't a book about breast cancer I wanted to write. I wanted to write a book about overcoming adversity, because everybody meets their, you know, their broken place, their scary place, their dark night at some point, and probably at least 10 times in their life. They'll come up against big stuff. And I wanted to really not just make it about, oh, here are all the bits and pieces about what happens when you're going through cancer and recovering from it and dealing with all the stuff that goes on around it. I wanted it to be about how we, you know, what is it, what can we have in the toolbox that helps us to recover from anything, whether it's bereavement, whether it's redundancy, whether it's losing your business, whether it's betrayal, that whatever the adversity is, there is actually a pathway through and back from, and there are things that can help us to cope. So we can develop a toolbox for how to deal with any challenge in life. Mine just happened to be about breast cancer, and I just happen to have one here, everybody. Notes. That's it there. It's this is important. This wee fella here.
Yes.
The Kintsugi bowl. Here's one I made earlier.
Oh wow. Yes.
Actually, I didn't make earlier. I bought a kit, and the kit said, put the bowl in a linen cloth, drop it on the floor, let it smash, and then get the golden glue and put the pieces back together. So my first bowl, I dropped it and it just bounced, nothing happened. The second bowl, I tried that one, I dropped it and it was like a 1,000-piece jigsaw. There was no, I'd have been there for the next 2 lives trying to put it back together again, which is probably a bit more realistic in terms of what my life's been like, you know, at times. But my husband said, listen, I'm going to do it. So good old Graham just got a bowl and painted gold on it. So it is a complete reprobate kintsugi bowl. It is not actually an original, but it was made very, very quickly and with love. So the kintsugi bowl, the whole philosophy of that Japanese art form, and it is a philosophy, it's a way of life, is that we're all broken. We all get broken. Nobody, absolutely nobody escapes. And what if this life is not about aiming for perfection and you know, and stroking our egos and getting it all right and arriving? What if it's all about how we put the broken bits back together again, how we pick up, and some of these bowls that they make actually have big chunks out them. You know, I haven't got one, but they've got like big bites that haven't been replaced, which is probably even more realistic. You know what I mean? I've got a bite out of here. There's a bit missing, and some people would say I've got a bit missing up here as well. But we all get broken, and it's how we find this golden glue or light inside that starts to put the pieces back together, where we embrace our brokenness, where we actually highlight our vulnerabilities, where we're actually proud of the things that have happened to us and how we have found a way to get back up again. We've found a way to recover, no matter what, the shame, you know, the mistakes, if there's such a thing. What if it's just feedback? You know, the places where we want to cringe at some of the stuff that we've done. What if we were able to just have compassion and to love every single part of ourselves, no matter what, and do that unconditional love stuff? So for me, that was hugely significant, and it happened one day when I was, I do speak in the book about when I, sorry, I'm sitting in a leather chair. It's not the beans, honestly. Every time I move, this chair's singing to me. I looked in the mirror and I saw my scars. And up until that point, I couldn't look in the mirror. And whenever I did happen to glance in the mirror, I just did a kind of shivery thing at the whole idea of it, and all this idea of your womanhood and, you know, and all the rest of it. And this particular morning was different when I looked in the mirror and I saw the kintsugi of it all. And I saw my scars as more sacred wounds, you know, that there was nothing ugly about it, that it was a sign of transformation, of resilience. And the thought that came into mind at that point, I talk about it in the book too, is about the Amazonian women who they say cut off one of their breasts so that they could fire their bows and arrows more easily because their boobs were getting in the way. And that felt very empowering. And it wasn't a silly notion of an affirmation that pretends you've not had a mastectomy. It really was a sense of picking that broken bit up and taking it to heart and saying, this is where I am, you know, I'm where I am, this is where I've got to, this is what's happened. How can I embrace it, and how can I make something beautiful out of it? And really, that's the story of the kintsugi bowl, and that's why it's on the cover. And it's not just about cancer or breast cancer, it's about how do we do that? How do we take it all on, honour it, and hold it dear, and embrace the shitty stuff that we all go through.
Yes, it's absolutely fantastic. How do you spell that word? Is it
Lilia? It's half 11.
I'll Google it.
No, it's Kintsugi. Now, the purists out there will say, oh no, it's Kintsugoi, which is Kintsugoi. But I'm a plebe. Kintsugi is the way I normally spell it. But I've no doubt there'll be somebody that will pull us up and say, but
Correct.
there's another way to spell it. That's not how you pronounce it.
No, I like the way you framed that. I mean, I think, whether it's because the loss of a business, Xander and I had to close our health boutique in 2008, and that was much, much harder than I'd ever, anticipated it would be. I think getting cancer, or, somebody leaving you, whether they choose to leave you or whether they leave you because they've crossed over, all of these things really can be huge and can take you to your knees, really. And, what might bring one person to their knees might not bring another person. So it can be a very personal thing. And, that's a brilliant way to frame your story, which is, yeah, for you it was breast cancer, or previously, losing your dad, which I agree with you. I lost my dad just a few months after my cousins lost theirs. And we were just like, why did nobody tell us how horrific this was going to be? We really were literally, taken to our knees with the pain. And I've lost people before, but the parent thing, and also my dad was he was 82. It wasn't like it was too young or perceived too young, but I think, it certainly makes you more aware when somebody else loses a parent now, that it's not, you don't take a week off your work and get over it, which is kind of, previously what you'd kind of expected to happen, I suppose, because we just do not grieve properly, do we? And it's kind of a taboo subject almost, as death is. But also, that something bad's happened, we try to avoid it and look away in the street because we really do not know what to do. So I think it's brilliant that you've brought this out as your story, which I think is hugely inspiring for everyone, but also that it doesn't need to just be, about breast cancer. It can be whatever is taking you to that place. And then how do you navigate through that? So what would you say? Let's talk about the fear, because that's, I think, we've been living in fear, a lot of us, for the last few years, and my fear has become, like, well, what if flights are taken out of the equation and I can't get to see my family? Didn't see my nephews for nearly 5 years. And, so suddenly fears that I'd never thought about before, people that are getting sick, because of choices that they've made, or which is perhaps always the case, maybe it was a soul journey, who knows, but, starting to worry about other people, and which I never really did before. How would you say did you have fear during that?
Yeah. Next question. Yeah. The book, I suppose, is really about the dark night. But what we also need to remember is one of the things that I was really happy about, the people who endorsed it. We had, really lively people. One was one guy's a top physician, Dr. David Riley. Anne Rowan, who heads up Chris's House, the suicide charity. Jane Douglas, Lily Douglas, who was Scotland's Pride of Courage winner, age 14, who died last year of Ewing sarcoma, raised millions for children's cancer charities in her short life. And Lily was an inspiration for me. One of the things that I was really pleased about was that they all clicked on the fact that there's a lot of humour in the book, that it should be laugh. You're not supposed to say this about your own book, but it should be laugh out loud. I still read bits and laugh out loud, and feel a bit stupid at times, but it is funny too. So those come in equal measure. When you go on any journey, most people when they go on any journey will be able to tell you about the good bits. It's never all dark. There's always diamonds in a mine. Do you know? That's where diamonds live. And light shines brighter in the dark. So there was fear, there was terror, there were dark nights. I was on blinking steroids when I was on chemo. So that was a fun journey coming back from them, because, just look up steroid psychosis. That was me. Poor Graham had to endure it like clockwork. You know, he thought PMT, he'd met the real me. We went through the menopause. He thought, well, it can't get any worse than that. No, meet the steroid queen on withdrawal. And those days were the darkest days. And I had to really dig deep and dig my nails into my hands to get through it. Not everyone gets that response to steroids. I'm just very lucky. So I was really shown the darkest, you know, most horrible, wild parts of myself. That, you know, how low I could go, and in a way that was also another bit for my bowl to glue in, because it's a part of who I am and who I could be, given enough chemicals, for one. And pushed far enough into the dark side. I speak in the book about Darth Vader. So there was fear, of course there's fear, but everyone has this fear. Every woman that goes for a mammogram or a cervical smear or gets a letter back about their colon test, or notices something unusual in their urine, or, you know, everybody goes through this fear all the time. It just becomes concrete. But the beauty of the cancer journey is you are surrounded by angels, visible and invisible. If you choose to look for the invisible ones, they'll make themselves known. But the earth angels that appear, you know, I will not hear a bad word about. I know there's a lot of things need sorted. I will not hear a bad word about our health service. I just will not. It is manned by super uber human beings. They are beyond special, and I cannot emphasize that enough. I'm not saying you don't get the odd person having a bad day, maybe a wee hangover from the weekend, but they're so unusual, that you step into a parallel universe. You really step into another reality on that journey. And that's not to dismiss the loneliness, the isolation, the fear, but the love. Well, you know, maybe I was just extremely lucky, but I don't think so. Most people that have read the book, whether it was a cancer journey or not, have said, people come out the woodwork. You don't always get the love from the places you'd expect it. Sometimes you do.
Yes.
I was lucky, I did. But I know not everyone gets it from where they expect it. But I certainly had an experience of love coming from places that I least expected it or had no idea. The people who showed up and who stayed the course, who just came into my life, walked with me through it, and then very gently exited stage right and just went back to their own lives.
Yes.
And that's important to remember. It's not all fear. It's not all a barrel of laughs, but probably a bit like life. It's a bit of both if we allow it. And from the fear perspective, everybody in life has to battle with fear. And fear is healthy, I think, or we wouldn't have it. You know, it's healthy, it's normal, it can protect us, it can make us take precautions. It's when we live there's a problem. It's when we allow our feelings to have us rather than we have them. And when we move out of that constant anxiousness, you know, then I think we live more in healthy fear. But it's when it becomes a habit and we just live there all the time. We pack up and go and move in fearland, you know, and we look at everything through squinty specs. You know, if you imagine a pair of specs and they're slightly like that, you know, everything gets looked at through that lens of fear, of anxiety. What if this, what if that? And we need to remember to do that and to say, what if some of the amazing things I can't even imagine yet were to happen? You know, what if this is one of the most amazing things in my life? I just can't see it yet. When I was walking through this, I couldn't ever have imagined that. So out of one of the most horrific things that have ever happened to me, something really beautiful was born. And okay, anybody can put a book in a cover and put a wee photograph in the front and, pretend they're a writer. I still feel I'm pretending. Most people would probably say, you are pretending, it's not that great. But it wasn't about me writing it for me. It was about me thinking that there might be one person out there that says that helped me. Now, to hear Jane Douglas say, who lost her 14-year-old child, Lily, this book really helped me. That, for me, was enough. That was like, right, okay, that's it, tick the box, done it. If someone lost arguably the most terrifying thought for most people, said that reading that has helped her to manage her life a wee bit more easily. For me, I don't need anything else, And anyway, it's not for profit. That was the other absolute insistence around the book, was that all the money all the profits from the book go to Lily's charity, Lily's Legacy, and the Everyone Project, which is a mindfulness association project to get mindfulness into places it would normally get people that can't afford it. And that was in memory of my other friend, Chloe Homewood, who died last year too, age 51. 3 kids under 13, dropped like that. And the message there is that here's Chloe contacting me every other day, all worried about me in 2019, coming in all tumbly, gorgeous, boho chic, making me laugh and giggle, driving me up the campuses to go and eat pancakes. Here's this absolutely vivacious, amazing, wonderful woman. And she's not here anymore.
No.
And I am. So, we talk about fear. We don't know the minute.
Absolutely.
There were people who were worrying about me who aren't here anymore. So we can waste an awful lot of time on fear and thinking we know what's going to happen. We have no clue what's going to happen from one day to the next. We are powerless beyond measure. I know they say we're powerful beyond measure. I don't believe that. I think we're powerless beyond measure. And the minute we get that, we're waking up. And there are things we can, well, of course we can be powerful in many ways, but generally speaking, we're pretty powerless. Today,
well, we're not in control of it.
What we're doing today, how are you living today, this worry about next year, next month, you might be worrying about stuff that you don't need to worry about because you'll not be here for it. Or, you're worrying about people that might not be here next week. It's just for today. What am I doing with this day and this life? Sure, we have plans, sure, we have goals, but the reason the book is dedicated, and I make so much of those two people, wee Lily, age 14, Chloe, age 51, and I know you lost lots of people, but Joanna was a huge part of your journey. Yes. Is like a compass point, is like, let's not forget, I'm still here, you're still here, they're not. We need to do it for them. We need to live fully for them.
Absolutely. When Joanna was 12 years from diagnosis until, crossing this thing we call death. And during that time, 2 friends of mine lost sons in accidents. And, it did that exact thing. I thought, God, we're so busy worrying about her, not worrying about these young guys. And then, life we're not in control of a lot of the stuff that happens. It's that simple. And that's where, like, handing it over and understanding, that just for today, I think it's part of the 12-step program, but we should all be living with that philosophy. This is all we have. You never know what's going to happen tonight, never mind tomorrow and the next day. And it's that ability. But I think, consciously we all understand that. There's no point in fear can definitely drive and instigate action. There's no doubt about that. But, I think we've fallen into the fight or flight living in these higher states of stress. So did it ever get, did you ever feel like I need to sort this out? I'm kind of in the dark place. What tools did you use, or what books did you read, or how did you? Were you ever in that funk where you thought, right, sort yourself out? You're in that. You're thinking about all the wrong things.
I
Did
still
that
do
ever?
that every day. I'd
You're
like
so
to tell,
honest,
I'd
aren't
like to pretend I'm sorted. Let's disavow you for that one right away. You might not want me to speak at your festival in April after this conversation. So we all get into funks. It's what we do. We're are you allowed to swear? I'm on the BBC. We're all fucked up people. We're all human. And we've all got sinkholes that catch us out. We think, oh, I've done that, I've dealt with that. Yeah, I've got that cyst, I've got fear cyst, I've got anxiety cyst. You walk round a corner and you walk into a lamppost. I think, yes, the answer to your question is yes, I did. Death's a great leveler. And we all have to face that, cancer or not. We all have to face the fact that this life is very short, and one day we won't be here. And probably 100 years from now, no one will ever know that we were here, whether you write a book or not. Do you know? Amazon will stop advertising it eventually. So, it doesn't, it's about how do I use this wee window of time that I've got while I'm here and sink deep into deep time and try to really inhale my life, really embrace the people that are in it, really savour the experiences, good and not so great, because we learn as much from I think we learn more from the not so great. I think we can learn
you?
more from the people that drive us crazy than the people who tell us we're wonderful. They're great, they're easy to love. It's so easy to love people that are nice to you and think you're doing great and you're bouncing through your life. Learning to love the people that drive you nuts or the people that don't like you back. You can learn a lot about that. You can really learn. I have learned so much from, the criticisms and we'll call it feedback about, okay, so is that how some people see me, or is that who they think I am? What if it is? What if I've got a blind spot I don't see? And I think, that absolutely being able to accept the funk as valuable, as valid, as gold dust, pay dirt, finding the diamond in the mine there. We've all got a shadow. We've all got the Darth Vader part inside of us. And how we learn to not do battle with it, but actually learn to dance with it, is to say, right, come out, Darth, put your sabre down, let's have a wee boogie together. What's going on here? What's happening? And learning more about ourselves. And for me, the takeaway from the book, the major takeaway is the art of reflection and reflective writing, because I think that got me through both experiences, my father's loss and death, and then the cancer journey, was the sitting down every day to write. And I know some people say, can't spell, can't write, rubbish at English. It's not about anyone else reading it. It's you putting the pen on paper. If you're worried that someone's going to read it and it's going to cause a divorce if someone finds it, you tear it out, tear it up, or burn it when you're done. But in the act or the art of reflective writing, we express deeper and deeper levels of ourselves. If you really can't write, talk it into your phone, listen to it and then delete it. Or just get and talk to the wind, go and talk to the snowdrops. We find out so much more about what we feel and who we are, because we've got these three brains. We've not just got the thinking brain, we've got the feeling brain, and we've got the gut brain. We've got the instinctive, intuitive, don't like him. What do you mean don't like him? I don't like him. You know, don't want to sit next to him, don't want to be in the same room as him. You don't know him. Why is your gut saying that? So we've got to line these three parts up for any kind of healing. And when we do that, we become whole, or some would say holy. We become wholesome, and we operate from the bit of power that we do have. And that, I think, is crucial in any kind of healing, or not everyone's on a healing journey, in any kind of development journey. If I want to be more of who I really am, then I would say the art of reflective writing. Not writing, I had lunch with Mary today. Oh, I had a sausage roll. Shouldn't have had that. Do you know how many calories that is? It's not that kind of writing. It's not a beat yourself up journaling. It's writing about what I think, what I feel, what my gut's telling me, where we don't sanitize, we don't edit, we do not get into silencing ourselves. We allow free expression. So stream of consciousness writing, just see what comes out the pen.
It's
And
letting
don't
go,
stop
isn't it?
writing.
Letting go on a moment-to-moment basis. I love that the phrase reflective writing, because that's really, to me, what it's just like reflecting and getting it all out, you know, because obviously the stuff that I primarily teach is all about pushing it all back down until eventually there's an explosion of some description, and that can be physical as well. I wanted to ask you, just because I know I can ask you anything, is did you feel that your diagnosis had anything to do with the trauma of the loss of your dad?
I don't know is the answer. I'll never know for sure. But I do say in the book that I believed a series of circumstances had evolved over a period of time, that there was almost a perfect storm. But my take on it is, and I know you know my take on this, is that cancer's a continent. There's no two cancers that are the same. There's no two treatments that are the same. There's no two humans that are the same that are going to respond to that treatment the same. So the variables are massive. So you're really relying on grace. And what we really, really, really need is discernment to know. And that we can learn. You can learn. We're not taught it at school, but you can learn how to discern, how to listen more to your intuition and know, for the grace of God, you know, that I am making the right decisions as I go here. And if it's my time to go, there's nothing I take or do that's going to make me better. If in a soul contract level, my T's out, they're shouting my number, it doesn't matter if you have all the healing in the whole world, you're still going to go. So I've forgotten the question. What was the question again?
No, because it's a really good point. I was talking about, you know, Roger Hammer's work, German New Medicine, is about these kind of life shocks and how even a cancer diagnosis can cause secondary cancer. So it's these shocks that shock the body, and if there's a weakness, for want of a better word,
I think so. I think I had a series, and I'm quite open about them in the book, but I don't believe any one of them. And I also don't believe that if someone else had those things happen to them, they would get cancer or
yes,
even cancer. They could have had more resources. They might just be a better person than I am. They might have a better diet than I have. But, you know, I do believe that that if we want to give ourselves our best chance, we need to be open. And I do go into detail in the book about the wide variety of things that people might not know about, that I used, that I believe created the best field for the treatments that I chose to engage in to work. And even more importantly, how I prepared my mind and my body and my spirit. There's a lot of that in the book too, be warned. How I prepared myself in a mind, body, spirit level for the treatments, and even more importantly, how post-treatment was almost even more vital than the treatments. So how I worked with my body to strengthen my body, mind and spirit back up after these pretty invasive and brutal and beautiful treatments too. You know, I speak a lot about reframing some of the language around cancer and treatments. I speak about the health hospital, not the hospital. I speak about my best care nurse, not my breast care nurse. I speak about the, I think I called him the wonkiologist, or the oncologist. And I spoke about ray-joy therapy, you know, chemotherapy, KI, bringing more key into my body, because this chemotherapy was going to kill off the stuff that wasn't working for me, that needed to be carried away to a place where all the wee cancer cells could be regenerated out in the universe and made better. And I didn't get into language like battles. I didn't talk about fighting cancer. I spoke about the language for me. Now, someone else might find that really useful. You know, if you're in the military, or you're comfortable with that language, then that's a fit for you. For me, that was too brutal and invasive. I wanted to speak about the cancer cells as just being wee, tired, damaged wee cells that had just gone, oh, for fuck's sake, you know, and they just weren't very well, and they didn't have a lot of life force in them, and they really needed some wee, you know, super teeny weeny angels to go in and carry them off. And that's what the chemotherapy was doing, not carrying them off to burn them in the bad fire, carrying them off so that out there somewhere in the ether they could be regenerated as new living breathing cells that would be useful to somebody. Now, that model worked for me. That might not work for someone else, but having that reframing was vitally important in changing what was actually happening, so that it was a healing process at the hospital that I was going through. It wasn't some brutal, awful, terrible. One of the bits in the book that I think is quite funny is when I speak about the ray-joy therapy session with the girls, who you see then just about the same two girls every day, you know, for 15 days virtually in a row. And, you know, some of the laughs that we had, and, you know, I mean, these folk have got tears in their eyes when you're finished. When you go out and ring that bell, because I had to ring 3 different bells at 3 different times for different protocols, they're crying too. And that's their job. They're doing it every day.
No, I know.
But
God,
there's beautiful times that happen too, and the intimacy, the connection. You know, somebody said, why do you call it the chancer and not cancer? And I said, well, that word is loaded. That word has so many associations and baggage hanging from it. I got another chance. Even if I had died, if I died tomorrow from it, I got another chance. I got a chance to put my affairs in order, which I did right away. I got a chance to make sure the people that I love and that love me were told that I loved them. And I still continue to try very hard. Don't always get it right, but I do try to tell them that I love them, so that if I went tomorrow, I don't need to feel bad about that one. I got a chance to make a lucky list, not a bucket list, a lucky list. And I got a chance to start ticking some of those things off that lucky list. Those 2 girls that the book's dedicated to, Lily at age 14 and Chloe, didn't get a chance. So cancer can give us an opportunity, even if we only live for weeks or months, but hopefully the rest of our lifespan. It gives us a chance to review, and not to get into blaming ourselves. Oh, do you think it was because of this? Do you think it's because I eat, I ate too many chocolate cakes, I get cancer? Do you think it's because I drank too much red wine? Do you think it's because I smoked for years? We'll never know. Here's what we know. It's probably multifaceted, but in answer to your question, I do think the shitstorm of my father's illness and death, the aftermath of that, having to deal with a business with 20 therapists at the Harvest Clinic in Glasgow, which I founded and I was running, having to deal with the normal stuff of life that we all have to deal with. We've all got our comedians, in our cast on stage with us. I also had to deal with a sexual predator and a potential court case that thankfully was going to court, but he pled guilty at the last minute. And I lost my mentor of 30 years, the guy who started me on the road of clinical hypnotherapy and who I worked with for 30 years, Michael Joseph, died of lung cancer within 3 weeks. This is months after my father. I lost an aunt. I lost my cousin, who I adored growing up, even though he lived in South Africa. So there was a whole load of stuff all happened in quite a short space of time. And those last two happened during recovery, but there was a lot going on. There was an awful lot going on. And yes, I think I'd be a fool not to think that those things have an effect on your immune system. And it's our immune system, and I know this is what you are advocating all the time, Lilia, is how we court and the courtship with that immune system, and with all the wee things that make a difference, the build-up of them, and how much. And I think had been so taken down, so emotionally decimated, that I think my immune system had gone, sit down for a minute. And the wee cancer cells that we've all got in our body, they're all
exactly.
all of us, had got an inroad, and then the rest is history.
The beauty of broken. Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, obviously I could keep you on talking here all day because it's just it's a passion for both of us. I know that. But I think, even, no matter what, I think we're always looking at resilience now, the kind of taking offence and finding life really hard and the drama, etc., which plays a part, for all of us at some points. But ultimately it's like, right, we're here now. Where do we go from here? And how can we take it forward, and how can we make it fun? One of my friends was here last week, just a hilarious guy. I always called him my fifth brother, and we'd such a laugh. I was just like belly laughing all night. And his nephew was here, and he said, God, you guys had so much fun. He said, we take life so seriously now. And I thought, that's really quite sad, isn't it? Look around this village, the beautiful views we have, and there's no social life. People are, all the pubs have shut down, and it's like, how do you get to know people? How do you get the crack? And that's why for a few years now I've really believed that I'm never going to inspire people to make changes that involve lack and giving up all the things that they love. But what we need to focus on is all the things that we absolutely do love and we know impact the body and the brain. Music, light, sound, nature, community, all of these things. And festivals to me are a way to get out the message out in a fun way. And a lot of, what you were describing, the reflective writing. We used to meet up every Friday night, get together, moan and groan about everything, and you got it all out. And a lot of that's not happening now. Even men being able to go and have a pint at the bar, whether you think drink is right or wrong is irrelevant. That was a place where they would go and they would, talk to other men. And these little things that we kind of took for granted that were actually helping people to stay well, creating friendships and bonds. It used to be on a Friday night, I would leave work here and go to the pub. It would be mobbed. And you'd be having a laugh and, maybe drinking too much. That's a different a different debate. But the community, the sense of community and the crack and the laugh, which I think is one of the phenomenal things. And I know that even my brother who lives in Canada, when I was living there too, I missed the banter. I missed the sarcasm, the slagging, and the absolute, living on the edge of what you can and cannot say. I think if we're looking for what's strong in our community, apart from our land, is our banter and our ability to laugh at ourselves. We have to keep that, because that's what allows us to say things and express without fear of being judged and cancelled, and you know what I mean? It's and people enjoy that kind of, I don't know, that way, I suppose, of being
Yeah.
that makes us the crazy Scots that we are.
Well, absolutely. I speak in the book about ultrasound therapy and how, music is a form of medicine. It actually heals the body. Dance, movement, singing into Hoover plug if you've not got a cordless. They've now got rid of the plugs. Don't
Yeah.
ever buy a cordless Hoover. You need a Hoover plug to sing into. Although nobody uses mics anymore, they use these wee daft earpieces. So hairbrush
Yeah.
will do. So I speak about music, about dance and laughter therapy, giving your heart a massage when some people laugh. They suffer from laughter constipation. They laugh from here, they do a wee titter. Really learning how to laugh right down into your belly, because that massages the heart and it produces so many wonderful chemicals in the body. So a right good laugh, and being able to laugh at yourself, being able to take this life a wee bit less seriously. There are always going to be critics out there. There's always somebody who loves to point the finger and tell you you're too much, you're not, and maybe you are, maybe at times, I absolutely know, I've been told too often that at times I'm too much. I get that. I'm kind of doing the best I can with it, but sometimes I don't get it right and I'm too much. And if that's the case and I feel I've crossed a boundary, I can always apologise and say, listen, I think I kind of took over there and da 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 da. But I think knowing who you are, embracing who you are, and as we said, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm messy, you're messy, you're broke. What chance have we got if we don't
Exactly.
have the ability to laugh at the whole farce of this life? And that doesn't mean don't fix things that need fixed. That doesn't mean don't be accountable if you cross people's boundaries or you offend people or you inadvertently or deliberately hurt people. Then make amends. These are all important spiritual tools too. But that laughter, that comedic aspect is absolutely crucial. And it's one of the things I like most about the feedback on the book, is that so many people said, I laughed out loud regularly. It was
Fantastic.
so funny. How can a book that starts off with a cancer journey, that goes to about page 120. The other 200 odd pages are about the spiritual journey and about how we come back from these things. And at the end, there's a 21-day retreat program that you can follow if you want to reset your life with the things that I used to reset, to cope and to reset afterwards. So I've given that away as well in the hope that people might get something from it. But laughter's in there too.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. Well, listen, you're coming to the festival and you're speaking at the festival, and you're also doing a workshop in the afternoon. So that's fantastic for people that want to come and hear you live and rub some of that wisdom and get a few laughs, because it's got to be, for me, laughter. I think that's the only reason I'm still alive. When I look back and think of the way I've treated my body in the past and all the things I've gone through, but having four brothers and a huge, network of mental friends, I laugh every day, usually till the tears come out my eyes. So I think it's definitely preventative. So listen, thank you so much for coming on and for your time. It's magic to see you, and it's magic to see you looking so well. And I will see you at the festival, if not before.
You will, and the pints are on you.
Oh,
Right?
and
When
I'll
this
see
talk's
you.
over, you're on the bar, you're on the belly.
I'll see you at the book launch.
You will. Book launch
Yeah,
is in March. I'll see you at the
fantastic.
book launch.
Thanks a million,
You're
Angela.
welcome.
Cheers.